All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash, double honors to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, the elders of Great Millstone, who rule very well, very beautifully. Double salutations unto the Akim, out here pushing his gospel and truth and his sincerity to the best of their ability, given to them by Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the elect scattered abroad. May the election of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Lord willing, fall upon your houses. This is Brother Quanah Watts from the Arizona Great Millstone Camp. Come back at you, Lord will, with the edifying lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Lord will. It is edifying, Lord will. It is straight to the point. And earlier, I was, chilling at the park with my kids, man, just, letting them run around, get that energy out, man. And, ultimately, just, putting the phone down, man, and just enjoying, some peace and quiet, really wasn't too many people, at the, at the park, which, again, at some point, it's pretty nice, man. It's pretty peaceful. The temperature out here in Arizona, man, is starting to, creep back down. It was at, 114s, 117s, it's pretty fucking hot, but now it's, again, it's starting to go, a lot lower, man, mid to high 80s, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, right? Which for some, that's pretty warm, but for Arizona, that's not too bad, man, but especially in this time, but as we were doing that, man, people ultimately started to show up, mainly, women with their, with their kids and whatnot, man. And, a few other, people, started to show up, really all that, all that peace, what peace we could get at, from those situations, right, ultimately started to, go away, man. The more the people showed up, because, as we understand that we're put under, right, the most, our most lawless enemy, the most hateful forsaker of the Most High, which we know is Esau Edom, right, the self-proclaimed so-called white man today, and it was a lot of Edomites, or would look to be, a lot of Edomites, women and some of their husbands, showing up as well, so again, like I said, some of that, that peace that you could get, right, in this world, right, doing those things with your family, that again, now you got to be on the lookout, right, now you got to be, because here in Arizona, for those that don't know, Arizona is the #1, right, child, drug and sex trafficking state in America, so you got to always be on the lookout. You got to always be, looking over your shoulder, right? Because you got a lot of, especially these Edomites, man, a lot of information is coming out that these damn devils are out here snatching up kids and, and doing nasty shit with these kids, man, right? Which they're ultimately trying to legalize, So again, right, all that, now you got to be on guard, and it sucks, man, because, we're never able to truly, have some type of peace here. We're never able to truly, have some type of rest or whatnot, man, right? Because again, we're under these damn devils, man, and they've done nothing but, push forth wickedness, in the earth. Matter of fact, let me grab this, Spirit just kind of jumping on me. I was looking that up too, but because it describes these devils, man. Right? Let's go back. This is Prayer of Azariah, verse 8. It says, "Wherefore all that thou hast brought upon us, and everything that thou hast done to us, thou hast done in true judgment." Right? Because again, right, we ultimately, we went off, man. Right? Lord entered into, we entered into a covenant with the Lord. Right? Going back to, Deuteronomy 28th chapter, right, with Moses, right, in the wilderness. Right? We entered into a covenant that if we were to, ultimately listen, right, then all the blessings, right, from verse 1 all the way down to verse 14 would come upon us. But if we don't listen, right, as it states in verse 15, then all the curses, right, from verses 16 all the way down to 68 will come upon us. And hey, we fucked up, and now we're under this damn devil. But see, the scriptures talk about him forwarding the affliction, right, him doing Zechariah 1:15. He did more than he was supposed to, He did way more than he was supposed to, and we're continuing to see that now, right? That's why it says right here, verse 9, it says, "And thou didst deliver us into the hands of lawless enemies," man, right? Lawless enemies, right? And we understand that Esau Edom, right? He's not gonna, because the Bible wasn't written for him, right? It's not for him, right? So he's not gonna follow the scriptures, but even the laws that he sets up, he's not following, man. You know, so he don't obey any laws, not even his own laws, right? Because he's a fucking hypocrite. He's a liar. He's a deceiver, right? Portraying himself to be some type of, angel of light. Portraying himself to be some type of good person, but in reality, he's as rotten as they come. It says the most hateful forsakers of the Most High, and into an unjust king, and the most wicked in all the world. And we understand that Malachi 1:4, right? Esau, Edom, right, is the border of wickedness, man. He is the most wicked in all the world, right? And again, we're seeing that, right? All this information, right? We read in Luke 12:2, right? Luke 8:17. All this information in 2 Thessalonians 2, right? All this information is coming out and being revealed, that this devil is just that, right? He's the devil. He's, pushed forth nothing but wickedness in the earth. This is Sirach chapter 10 and verse 2. It says, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers, and what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. So ultimately, if you see a town or a mayor, a city, right? You got the mayor, you got the senator, you got all them. If they're all wicked, right? Whoever's the top, right? Which I think it's like a senator or something like that, right? If he's wicked, he's evil. Well, guess what? Then you're going to have the governor, right? Then you're going to have the mayors. Then you got to have all of them are going to be following after that man, and what he does, his example, right? So if he's wicked, guess what? They're going to be wicked, right? And then it's going to trickle on down all the way down to the average person, man, right? And how they move and how they, ultimately think, right? So Esau has pushed forth nothing but wickedness in the world, and now we see nothing but wickedness completely, as it says in 2 Ezra 15 chapter, right? For wickedness, matter of fact, let's grab it. 2 Ezra 15 and verse 5, it says, behold, it's like a verse, I'll just get to the point. 2 Ezra 15 verse 6, for wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled, right? So it started with Esau, Edom, right? Wickedness hath ultimately, covered the whole earth, covered it, and some. You can take one Edomite's wickedness and evil, right? And if it was, you're if you're to put it in the form of a blanket, that blanket would wrap the world multiple times. That's just one Edomite, right? Well, how much the whole nation of Esau, Edom, man, and the wickedness that they're pushing, And again, for all the time that they've been in power, but for all the time that they've been on top, right? Come on, man. That's why it says exceedingly polluted the whole earth, right? It didn't say just polluted the whole earth. It says exceedingly. That's these damn devils, and this is why, when we ultimately go out here and we try to even when we go out into nature or we try to play with our kids, we really can't do that, man. Because again, this isn't our rest, right? When we ultimately playing with our kids, we're at a state of rest. We're at a state of peace, man, right? Because we have joy playing with our kids. We have joy, being with brothers, man, and chilling and barbecuing and doing all these different things, and then guess what? Esau will come in and ultimately cause some type of, or you're gonna see some Mo, acting all crazy, or some N-Dub acting all crazy, ruining the whole vibe, and this, that, and the third. It's because again, we're around the wicked, man. And this is not our rest, anyways, right? This is not our rest, right? We're all these different things that we speak about, right? Playing with our kids, having fun, being able to rest, kick up our feet, not have to wake up at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, right? Having to go to work, waking up to a blaring ass alarm, right? All that is going to come to a screeching halt in the kingdom, right? That's when we'll have some type of rest, man. Let me grab this. In Micah 2:10, it says, arise ye and depart. Right. And this is talking about spiritually. Right. We have to spiritually depart from this place, man. We understand that, we still have to, live here, pay bills. Right. Take care of business, and most importantly, right, we have the ministry, serve Yahweh Hashem El Shah to the best of our ability, wake up the elect of the nation of Israel, right? We have to do all these different things here, you know? So we have to maintain, you know, living in this world. But, hey, spiritually, you know, we're to depart from this world, man. Right? Meaning we're not going to, as it says in Romans 12:2, be not conformed to the world. You know? We're not doing the things of the world. We're not acting like the world. We're not moving like the world. You know, but hey, we're just in it. Really, that's the state that it's in. We're just here, man. Right? We're sojourners. Right? We're pilgrims, as the scriptures say. You know? Like our forefathers, they knew, right, that they were just pilgrims. They knew that they were just sojourners, right? Looking for a better kingdom, a better country. You know, and that's a mindset that we have to have, right? We got to be looking for, you know, the kingdom of Yahweh Bashem El Shah, which all these different things that we're not really capable of doing, right? We can only do it, you know, in small portions, man. You know, again, like I had some type of, you know, calm, if you will, you know, going out to the park, playing with my kids, you know, just having fun, chasing them around, you know, letting them burn out that energy, you know, getting some exercise myself as well, right, while doing that. But then people start showing up, and now I got to step back and, you know, and basically keep watch, you know, which I don't want to do that shit, man. You know, I don't want to do that shit. Hey, but soon, hey, all that's going to come to an end, right? We're going to be put on top, right? Micah 2:10, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, right? This isn't our rest, right? And I'm going to grab that word rest. It says, because it is polluted, right? We understand that those who are the wicked, they're in top. They're in power right now, man. And they've done nothing but push forth that wicked vibration. And again, it's exceedingly polluted the whole earth. You know, the food, the water, the people, the air, everything. You know, the animal, everything is polluted here, man. You know? And we know this, man. And it's constantly vexing. It's constantly, you know, irritating. You know, constantly, right? It says, it shall destroy you even with the sword destruction. So again, right, this is not our rest, right? I want to grab that word rest, right? Strong's H4496. Let's hear it.
Strong's H4496. Menucha.
Right? It says resting place, rest, quietness. It says comfortable, right? Comfortable, right? Ease, quiet, still, right? Comfortable, right? We can't really be comfortable here, right? What we're comfortable with is not, you know, the same as what the rest of the world is comfortable with. We're not comfortable, right? Eating and indulging in things that'll get us killed, man. Like literally eating pork, like that shit is so bad for you. And it's like you'll tell Jake, man. You won't even like say, hey, you know, hey, the Lord said not to eat it. You'll just say, bro, like, look at it, right? The pig itself does not sweat, right? It doesn't have sweat glands. So it does all that toxins and whatnot that it eats, and, you know, all that shit stays in its body, right? Because when you look at sweating, right, for a human, sweating, right, allows for, you know, your body to, you know, not only cool itself, but it excretes the toxins that's in your body as well, man. You know, so like it helps to, you know, to cleanse your body, right? Sweating is a beautiful thing, man. You know, when you look at it and what it's for, and how the Lord ultimately created it, you know, and its purpose, you know. But yet again, a pig does not sweat, so all that shit is staying in its body. And then even then, right, they're seeing videos of people pouring like Pepsi or Coke on a, you know, a piece of pork, and all these different worms and shit like that coming out. This shit is not good for you, man. Right? Most importantly, the Lord said not to eat it, but see, the Lord ultimately made it to where if you eat it, there would be consequences, you know, and that's the consequences. It's not good for you, man. You know, it'll destroy your body. So again, right, you sit here, you know, you look at how the world is, and the world is comfortable with doing things that'll kill them, man. The world is comfortable with doing things that are against the Lord. You know, Those who truly love Yahweh B'Shem El Shai are going to be comfortable with being around the brothers, man, chilling, man, not having no issues. A lot of these people in the world, man, they're jealous, right? They're greedy, they're envious, right? They're covetous, So you can't really be around them like that, man. You got to watch your back around these fucking people out here, man. And that's not a state of comfort. You shouldn't be comfortable with being like that, man. You shouldn't be comfortable, around that type of shit, man. So again, right, this is not our place of being able to have some type of comfort, man. Right? That comes in the kingdom. Right? That'll come when we're put on top. That'll come when we're not, when our enemies are below us and not above us. And we can't wait, man. I mean, obviously we got to wait, but that's just an expression, right? We can't wait, right? This is why we're constantly, scriptures say, to give him no rest until he made Jerusalem a praise in the earth. We're constantly throwing up the prayers, right? Asking the Lord how long, just like our forefathers, right? Praying for a few days, right? Because we want this place to go the fuck down. And to Wadi Yahweh B'Shem El Shai, man, I've mentioned it a few times, right? Since the elder apostle Tahar made that decree that everybody throw curses on Babylon, and since that moment till now, it's been going extremely fast. Extremely fast. So call Lord Yahweh B'Shem El Shai, man, for putting the spirit on our apostle Tahar. All our apostles, man, our bishops, the elders, right? Even, younger brothers such as myself, man, for, the Lord Yahweh B'Shem El Shai putting the spirit on us to do that. Right now, look, everything's is speeding up, and it's beautiful, man. Right, but as of now, again, right, we still in this, under the most hateful forsakers of the Most High, man, the most lawless enemies. But soon Yahweh B'Shem El Shai is ultimately going to turn everything, upside down. Take this damn devil out of rulership, man. I want to grab this. And going back into Sirach, the 10th chapter, Sirach 10 and 8 being the point, right? It says, Slaki, that's not the point. Verse 4 is the point, right? This is Sirach 4 and Sirach 10 and verse 4. It says, the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, right? Right, as we read in Daniel 2 and 21, right? He setteth up kings and he removeth kings. So as of right now, Esau's in power, but soon, right, as we read in Job 14 and 5, the Lord has given him bounds that he cannot pass. So Esau's hit that wall, right? When you climb a mountain, once you reach the top, the only way that you can go is down. And see, Esau is going down, and he's going down fast, right? Try to run up a hill. It's hard as shit, but once you get to the top and you start running down, and you go extremely fast running down, you go really fast, and that's how Esau's moving, man. Esau is basically, his kingdom is running downhill, man. And we're seeing that that there is an incoming righteous rulership, right, that's coming right on the heels of Esau's descent. As soon as Esau is taken out of power, a righteous rulership beginning with Yahweh Shai down to the 144,000, right, which is that true governing body, right, of all existence that's going to be established, right? And then you have the rest of the elect, right, and eventually the rest of Israel, right, coming through the loins of the elect into rulership, and it's going to be completely different, man. How you see everything being ruled right now, man, this is trash. This is not how you're supposed to rule. Right? This is not how you're supposed to rule. As it says right here, it says, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. Right? Because Esau is not profitable. He's the curse of the earth, as the scriptures say. Right? He's not profitable. Let's go and look up that word profitable. Profitable. It says yielding, ooh, that's heavy. Yielding spiritual or moral benefit, right? Useful. And again, right, you're going to have, morals, right, based off of the scriptures, right, being established, being pushed, not these wicked ass values, that you see here in the world, not these wicked ass morals that you see in the world, right? It says advantageous, expedient, right? Helpful, right? To profit, meaning to advance, right? Benefit, gain, right? It's we're going to be in such a great estate, man, as it says in Proverbs 29. Matter of fact, let's grab that too. Proverbs 29 and verse 2, it says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. So the people are going to be rejoicing, man, right? All the people. You see, as it says right here, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Hey, all these fucking people in the world are mourning, man, because of who's in power. You know, because of who is in rulership. Everybody, all the nations, the animals, the plants, everybody is mourning because of who's in power, man. You know, but as we're reading, right, the Lord is ultimately going to, you know, pull the you know, he's going to pull out the rug from under him, man. You know, and stand up in his stead. Right, Yahweh Shai, which is going to be beautiful, man. It's going to be beautiful because hey, when that happens, hey, all these different things that we, you know, ultimately desire to have, we gonna have them. Right, all Israel is going to have rulership. All Israel is going to have power over all these heathens. You know, and that's where we're going to be able to rejoice. That's where we're going to be able to rest. That's where we're going to be able to have some type of ease. You know, let me jump to this in second Esdras 8. And I'll start at verse 51. Second Esdras 8 and 51. It says, but understand thou for thyself and seek out the glory for such as be like thee. For unto you is paradise open, right? Paradise, right? Paradise. Like, let's look at that word, paradise. Paradise. This is the Garden of Eden, right? Paradise, Garden of Eden, right? A park and orchard, the Garden of Eden, the abode of the blessed. Wow, the abode of the blessed, right? And that's going to be us, man, right? Lord, we're of that number, right? We're going to see it in the first go around, right? Having that first dominion, you know. Lord, will we be of the elect, man? But we're going to see it, right? We're going to see the building. And the renewing, right, of the earth, right, under a righteous rulership, man. You know, and it's truly going to be a paradise. We're going to see the earth go from this, you know, this dead state that you see the earth in now because of who's in rulership to the most blessed state that the earth is going to be in, right? The state that it was supposed to be in the first place, right? Until this damn devil got a hold of it, right? It says, the abode of the blessed, and you know, ultimately that was it, right? That was the point. It says, at the top right there, it says extended, meaning a place of extreme beauty, blissful state, like or comparable to paradise, man. A blissful state, a place of extreme beauty, right? It's going to be completely different, man, you know, than what we see here, you know. Let's go back to that word, right, or the word. Second Esdras 8 and verse 52, for unto you is paradise open, a tree of life is planted. Because again, we're going to get those new bodies, right? And we understand, right, when you go into the scriptures that, you know, that the wages of sin, right, which is a payment, right? A payment for sin is death, right? So when we sin, when we go off, hey, guess what? Right? It ultimately opens up the door, right, for that for death. You know? But see, we're going to be changed, right? The law, statutes, commandments are going to be written in our minds, man. And you know, our hearts are going to be changed, right, from a stony heart to a fleshy heart, meaning going to go from a disobedient mind to an obedient mind. Right, we're gonna do exactly what the Lord wants us to do, to the T, to the capital T, right, to the dotted I, to the capital P and Q, everything on point, never ever going off, right, which is righteousness. What is the opposite of sin, right? Righteousness, right? And we know that righteousness is immortality, right? Wisdom of Solomon, the 1st chapter, the 15th verse. For righteousness is immortality. right? We're going to be immortal, right? Never going off again, right? It says plenty. It says the time to come is prepared, right? And Yahweh Shai said, I go to prepare a place for you, right? So it's already ready. You know, it's already ready, right? We're just waiting, right, for things to play out the way that they need, right, to play out according to prophecy, right? It says plenteousness is made ready, a city is builded, and rest is allowed, right? So we're not allowed to have rest here, man. Even if we try, it still gets interrupted, right? It's still short-lived, you know, and even then it's only a fraction of what we're going to experience, you know, in the coming kingdom, right? But see, this is what we fight for, right? And so that we can experience it in the first go around, right? Having that first dominion, seeing the transformation, right? That's a blessing in itself. Yes, again, all Israel is eventually going to come back into righteousness and immortality, you know. So really they have, you know, they don't really got to worry about it, you know. 2/3 of our people don't have to worry about it. They're still going to receive those blessings. But hey, see, the Lord hath woken us up to, you know, to this truth, this knowledge, right? So that way we can, Lord will, right, be of the number to receive the first part or the first dominion of the kingdom, man. To see that building, right? The initial tear down of the kingdom before, right? And then in the initial building of the kingdom that comes after. Right, which is a blessing in itself, man. And we're going to be able to speak that and say that, right? That's an honor. That's a high honor to say that we serve the Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai to the best of our ability in the face of our lawless enemies, and overcame through the blood of Yahweh Shai and the word of our testimony. Come on, man. Hey, that right there, man, only a few are going to be able to say that, right? And Lord, will we be of that number? We're going to be able to say that, man. We're going to be the first ones to kick our feet up and truly get some rest. You know? As it says right here, it says, and rest is allowed, yea, perfect goodness and wisdom. It says the root of evil is sealed up from you. Weakness and the moth is hid from you, and corruption is fled into hell to be forgotten. Right? It says sorrows are past, and in the end is showed the treasure of immortality. So again, we're going to be in the most perfect state. Whereas we can't experience any of these things now. You know, we're going to experience them 144-fold in the kingdom. Right? Even if you get some kind of rest or some kind of peace here, or you know, you're able to actually play with your kids, or you know, you got some type of financial, leeway that you can do certain things that bring you some type of comfort. And even then, right? The scriptures say that even in laughter there's sorrow, right? Roughly paraphrasing, you know, because you still got to, now you still got to go back and deal with Esau. You still got to go back and deal with the frustrations of, you know, of working in this society, right? Just being in this society. So again, it's short-lived, you know, but we understand that's all coming to an end, man. And soon, right, we're going to experience that true rest, man. You know, it's coming, man. It's coming real quick. Just continue to hold on, continue to keep the faith, continue to keep pushing, presenting your bodies a living sacrifice, right? Serving Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai to the best of our ability, right? In the face of our enemies, man. You know, no matter the circumstance, man, continue to stand 10 toes for Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai and this society today, you know, and every day moving forward. You know, Lord will, this was an edifying lesson. I want to give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem, Rachak Wadash, double honor to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, the elders, the great millstone, rule very well, very beautifully. Till next time, I say shalom.